Now, there are two forms of depression that we can single out for this video, because I think that they are quite important to understand as they happen in the lives of a lot of introverted intuitives. I've talked about these forms of depression before. One is a form of depression that is linked to self-hate or guilt, very, very, very pronounced guilt. So you could call it a guilt depression. The other depression is more of an emptiness kind of depression. So a feeling that, you're empty inside and life loses all meaning. So there's a difference between thinking that you're bad and being guilty and feeling depressed as a result, and feeling empty and like life has no meaning and feeling depressed as a result. The symptoms might look very, very much similar, but the causes are different. And of course, this is no substitute for an actual psychiatric analysis and investigation, which is, in the last analysis, the way to go. I'm only offering a kind of Jungian depth psychological perspective on some of the dynamics that we can maybe understand in terms of the narratives and stories and theories that I've been weaving in the last few months, okay? I think the guilt form of depression is probably the more common form of depression that an INFJ might experience, an I-dominant might experience, INTJ too. Perhaps more often in compliant types, because it's essentially a guilt that is perpetually being evoked in the I-dominant sense that they are failing to carry through their project. The sense of destiny, the sense of having a project for this life is very important. It's a very important storyline in the life of an I-dominant. It's, of course, set in motion by the engine that we know as the fantasy of repair. And if the I-dominant perceives in some way or other that they're not actually carrying their mission of accomplishing genuine repair of the world or of other people through a life project of some kind, they could end up in situations where they feel like this kind of depressive guilt. Ultimately, what is particularly depressive and guilty about this is that these instances are always archaic reminders of the original trauma, which is the trauma of childhood, where the breast was damaged in fantasy by the child and in need of repair. And later, the I-dominant adults, when they feel like they're not really doing in life what they were hoping to do, well, at the unconscious level, they're reenacting their failure to repair the breast that they had damaged. And that's psychodynamically the source that we could single out as the source of depressive guilt. For depressive emptiness, I think the situation is different, very different, although I had mentioned it, I had referred to it before as well in a video that I actually released not so long ago. Before I move on with this other form of depression, I just want to mention that I have a Patreon page and you can support me at the link below. I'd be really, really grateful if you did, because it will really massively help me with the work I'm doing. I need your support more than ever, and I'd be super grateful if you did support me. So thank you for your support. It's only a few dollars a month or a few euros a month or a year. You have the yearly option as well, and in return you get access to some really cool perks, like access to a whole library of deep dives, long format videos where I talk about topics for up to half an hour on a topic of your choosing, and there's a nice library of them already available for the patrons, and also access to our Discord server, the Fourfold, where you can come and hang out with us. So do that. Thank you so much. So the form of depressive emptiness, I think, are, at least in the case of the solipsists themselves, reactions against compliance. I think that this reaction against compliance that we call solipsism opens up the person to an emptiness form of depression, because, as we have seen before, the solipsist lives in a withdrawn mode of existence. They are coddling their inner ciphers in their unconscious, but not really transmuting them into new signs that in turn produce new ciphers to be integrated and absorbed into the unconscious. So if you like, the unconscious or the solipsist is not very dynamic. And as a result of not being very dynamic, their fantasy world is not very dynamic. It tends to ossify. It tends to become like a desert. And when it tends to become more like a desert, well, in a sense, if you like, the wheels of desire, which drive us to do things, become rusty. And the will to do things becomes, well, it slows down. It slows down until further ossification is observed. And that's also, you know, what you call this coming to a standstill of desire. That's also depression. It's depression, but guilt is not at the center. It's indirectly there. Because in the first place, it was in an attempt to avoid the guilt that the solipsists departed from compliance, to find refuge in their own NI world. But through cutting themselves off from the external world, paradoxically, they end up developing their own form of depressive emptiness. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Don't forget that I have written 2 books on the INFJ personality, what I want to share here with you today. The Ecstatic Soul, which is all about it's actually the book that put my name on the map in the first place. It's all about the inner world of the INFJ, their thoughts, their consciousness, their beliefs. And the Infinite Soul, which is the book that is the sequel to the Ecstatic Soul, and put the INFJ in the external world and looked at how INFJs can find purpose, meaning and value in the world they often find hostile. If you want a deep understanding of the INFJ, you actually really need to read these 2 books. Waiting for my future NI book. Thank you so much, guys, and talk to you soon.